Yeah, hi there, and these comments are for Saba, and I am Michael Buckoff, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-Step System to Pass a TOEFL IBT, and you posted 2 specific practice tests at my Voxy Pop discussion group, and I'm going to give you some feedback on those right now. So you did number 232 and also 220. So let's take a look at number 232. I want to make sure I see the question first. So the question here is, which do you prefer, taking online classes or going to a classroom with a teacher and other students? Use specific examples and details. All right.
I prefer to go to a classroom with a teacher and other students rather than to take online courses because I can get immediate response from a teacher and make friends. First of all, I prefer classrooms over online courses because I can get instant feedback from the professor. I remember when I took chemistry class, I wasn't able to understand the acid-base equation. In the classroom, the professor was able to clarify everything for me by giving more details and examples. Secondly, I prefer classrooms over online courses because I can make new friends. I remember when I took English 100, I had the opportunity to meet 30 students in the classroom in which we shared ideas and opinions, and we found something common between us, and that's how I make new friends.
And that is how I make, or that is how I made, I think you want to say there, right? Now, that was very organized. You can't get much better than that, right? Let me listen to it one more time.
I prefer to go to a classroom with a teacher and other students rather than to take online courses.
Let's go back slower here.
To go to a classroom with a teacher and other students rather than to...
I think there's a language use problem right there.
I prefer to go to a classroom with a teacher and other students rather...
So I prefer to go to a classroom with a teacher and other students. I would probably put a connector in there to separate those two nouns.
Than to take online courses because I can get immediate response from a teacher and make friends. First
okay, when you say response, let me see this.
Courses because I can get immediate response from a teacher and make friends.
So I can get immediate response. How about I can get an immediate response, or I can get immediate responses. So if you use response as a singular noun, you want to put the article "an immediate response."
First of all, I prefer classrooms over online courses because I can get instant feedback from the professor.
So because I can get, this is a sentence rhythm issue. When you have can and then get, you want to put more stress on the main verb, less stress on the modal. So because I can get immediate feedback.
I remember when I took chemistry class, I wasn't able to understand the acid-base equation. In the classroom, I remember when I took chemistry class, I wasn't able to understand the acid-base equation.
There, I wasn't able to understand a basic equation. So I'm not sure if you have the article, if you're using that a before that noun. Equation is a singular count noun.
Sent feedback from this professor. I remember when I took chemistry class, I wasn't able to understand the acid-base equation.
Yeah, it's that. There's just something not exactly right about how you're pronouncing that. So between about 19 and 21 seconds.
In the classroom, the professor was able to clarify everything for me by giving more details and examples. Secondly, I prefer classrooms over online courses because I can make new friends. I remember
I can make a new friends. Sounds like you're... Let me go back to that.
The base equation. In the classroom, the professor was able to clarify everything for online courses because I can make new friends. I remember what
I can make new friends. I'm not going to say I can make a new friends. I would just say I can make new friends.
I took English 100. I had the opportunity to meet 30 students in the classroom in which we shared ideas and opinions.
In which? Good connector.
And we found something common between us, and that's how I make...
We found what? I'm not sure what you're saying there. Hold on.
the classroom in which we shared ideas and opinions, and we found something common between us, and that's how I make
There, I'm not sure what you're saying there.
opinions, and we found something common between us, and that
We found some between us, among us. I'll probably use there among because you mean more than two, but the word that's before that, that's what I'm not exactly able to understand.
something common between us, and that's how I make new friends.
That's how I make a new friends. No, this is how I make new friends. All right, let's take a look at the rubric. So you want to know. I think this was strong with language use and topic development. I think that you had some minor difficulties with delivery. So in order to get a perfect score, 4.4 out of 4, 30 out of 30, the minor problems that you're having, they cannot affect your overall intelligibility, but you had some problems in your speech where I wasn't exactly able to understand what you were saying, right? So I think in order to get higher, you have to speak more clearly. That's the bottom line. Exactly with this task. So your score here, I'm going to put you at 3.16, 24 points out of 30 on this particular practice test. All right, let's go to the next one.
My dream
So the next question is, I think 220. Describe your dream vacation weekend. Where would you go? What would you do? Use specific details and examples in your response. So where would you go, where, and what? You're trying to answer two questions about your dream vacation.
My dream vacation weekend would be going to Lake Tahoe in winter to have fun and spend quality time with my family. I chose Lake Tahoe in the first place because I had a great time there. I remember before I had my children, I went there and I learned how to ski. After I mastered the skiing, I felt as if I am a bird flying on the snow.
As if I were a bird flying in the snow there. So you want to use what's called the unreal condition, a present impossible condition, right? So let's listen to that one more time.
My children, I went there and I learned how to ski. After I mastered the skiing, I felt as if I am a bird.
As if I were a bird.
Flying on the snow. And I want my children to feel this sense too.
You might want to say, therefore, if you say therefore, because of the experience, you want your children. So that was a good place right in there. You could use a word like as a result, consequently, or therefore to show the causal analysis between what you did and then what you want your children to do.
The second reason why I chose Lake Tahoe is because I want to bond with my family, specifically my children. Going to Lake Tahoe, doing so many outdoor activities.
Now you got to go back to, it's not just why you chose this as your dream vacation. You got to look at the question here. The question is, describe your dream vacation. Where would you go? You answered that. So you would go to Tahoe and you explain why. And then what would you do? So then you can talk about the skiing and maybe enjoying a nice fire in your cabin or something along those lines. So stay focused on where you would go and what you would do. You don't have to worry as much about why this is your dream vacation because the question here is focusing more on describing it, not explaining why it's your dream vacation. You see this? So you have to make sure that you directly answer the question that's being asked.
My children, going to Lake Tahoe, doing so many outdoor activities will strengthen our relationship. And snapping photos will
So you have to stay focused on what you would do.
seize and capture the happy moments.
Okay, so on this one, I think on this one, in order to get a perfect score, to get closer to 26 to 30 points out of speaking task, you have to focus more on this idea where, first of all, you would take maybe 15 seconds of your response, you explain why you want to go to Tahoe, where you would go, which is Tahoe, and maybe why. And then you talk about what you would do on your dream vacation, right? So that helps you describe it more. So I think you should probably focus mostly on the skiing. So what would you do? You would go skiing. And you can describe that. You can describe one of the ski resorts in Lake Tahoe, and you can even talk about why you liked going skiing. You did say because you felt like you were a bird kind of floating. You can probably explain that more, give some more detail there. So I think you need to more directly address both of these questions here if you want to score higher in this particular speaking task. Still, it was a good response. I'm going to put you right here at about 3.0 out of 4, 23 points out of 30. On this one, it says your response is mostly coherent and conveys relevant information to the task. Right? Mostly. So you could probably do a little bit better with your topic development. You had some minor problems with language use, and maybe some minor problems with delivery. All right?